Hi everyone, this is Kyle with kayDbait. I wanted to make a short video on my beliefs of society and a little bit of philosophy. First one is the one that I've been saying in a lot of my videos, that as a people we are too reactive, we're too easily upset, and we follow people that say they're offended in our own with our own agendas. Like, when somebody says, I'm offended by this, another group will look at that and say, how can we benefit from that? And then they will act accordingly instead of, critically thinking and saying, hey, should this be a thing? I apologize, there. Yeah, okay, that's a little bit better. You can't see my microphone anymore, cool. So we have this problem with reactivity. I believe that needs to be addressed. I believe that's something that is not good. Another thing I believe is that we have people that care, like a lot of people that care, but we don't have, it's not culturalized. It's not part of our culture. It's kind of it's something that's there but not really promoted, because when you have somebody that's really generous, that's really giving or self-sacrificing, or just somebody that cares about others, our society in the United States does not promote that. There's a lot of actions that are taken against those kinds of people, or the other people within the culture take advantage of it. So if you have somebody that's just being benevolent to others, there is a great chance that he or she will be taken advantage of, either by a business or by other individuals that will be trying to look for themselves as opposed to being given to others. And I think that not every culture in the world has that. I don't believe that every person within each culture is represented by the whole, but it's just in the United States there is a it's not necessarily a majority of people that take advantage, but there's enough of them to keep the benevolent people pushed down more than they should be. So, I'm sorry, my voice has been given out lately. There's just there needs to be a shift, a cultural shift, and I've said this before. If we want to progress as a people around the entire world, we need to make those people, the benevolent, generous people, the vast majority, and to have the culture of the world, not just one country or another, the entire culture of the world to also promote that. To, like, take the United States, where we have these laws in place that are, you have to prove guilt, which is good. But you have people that are abusing that system, and that are like, you lend somebody money on good faith, and even though that person knows that they should pay you back, they refuse. And then you have to prove that they paid you money, which is something that protects people from, just accusing everybody. But our culture doesn't protect that. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have lent them money in the first place. Why did you trust them? And it's like it's attacking the victim. And we have very few laws in place that protect against accusations of rape. You can get punished for it, but there's a lot of people that believe that it's not enough. You accuse somebody of rape because you hate them or you don't like them. I've had people threaten me with that before, in the same breath of, I didn't do that, obviously, but they were trying to get something from me, and it terrifies me. And I don't think that's something that should ever be allowed, and there should be some kind of punishment for that. Not every state has something that punishes specifically for that. So we have a culture that the aggressive and the willing to lie and the willing to take advantage of people have a lot more leeway than they should. So we need to fix that as well. We need our culture to not want to do that, and to do that you have to put things in place that promote benevolence as opposed to malevolence, because malevolence is really beneficial for a lot of people. They get what they want, they take what they want, and they get what they want. And it's not something that should be promoted anywhere because it hurts people. That's what malevolence really is about your own benefit at the expense of others, or just making others worse off. And usually that's for their own enjoyment. So, there is a thing there. But another thing we have is we have a lot of mudslinging in the United States. I'm sure other countries do it almost as much as we do. But we have Ben Carson and Donald Trump on the Republican side, and Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders on the Democratic side. And those four people, besides everybody else, Jeb Bush and the people that are just being, knocked over constantly anyway, those four people are just attacked constantly by everybody. I was just reading a thing on Ben Carson earlier, and the entire thing was just, we hate you, go die, pretty much. And then there's other ones that are just elating them onto pedestals that they're untouchable. These are not discussions. These are not progressions of anything. No new ideas, no form of communication. It's just you either hate him and want him to die, or you love him and you want him to be God, or you don't care because everything is just so bad you don't care. There's no middle anywhere. I mean, technically the apathy one some might consider in the middle, but it's just so far removed that it's not. There's no communication between these groups. You can say, I agree on this point, or I disagree on that point, and I think this is what they're trying to say, but I don't understand why they're saying it in this way. And then you could have a communication with the people that are on the other side that believe they thought it was some other thing, and then this is why they're doing it. It takes a little bit of, stepping back and getting outside of your comfort zone of, I believe what is right, but I want to learn new things. That is so hard to do. And as a people, the United States is really, really bad at it. Like, the worst I've ever seen on, like, I've seen people from other countries that just don't care. Like, I have some friends in Canada, and they just like, our government's just screwed up. They're incompetent. They're not necessarily evil. They're just really. And that guy, the cokehead or heroin head mayor of Toronto or whatever, is like, that was the example they gave. Is like, our government's a joke. And so I don't know enough about them. It looks like they're heading in a better direction with a new guy. I don't know. When I looked at the list of the people that he's put into his cabinet, it looked good. So, hopefully that's good. But there's a lot of people that just don't care. They're looking out for themselves, or they're just, those guys are all going to screw me anyway. And so it doesn't affect me. Like that's the apathy approach. When it does affect you, it's hard to see the in-between, because there's steps. Like they affect the laws, and the laws affect your business, and the business affects your job, and job affects you. So there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, he believes in evolution, or he doesn't believe in evolution, therefore I will attack him viciously forever, regardless of anything else. And it's all about, it's always been about, as far as I've seen, it's about sound clips. It's about your platform, which is a very small group of ideas that you have that appeal to your demographic of your constituents, the people that want to vote for you. And that's stupid, because it simplifies everything. And I'm also annoyed that there isn't more focus on the other elections, but I don't know enough about them either. So there's just no coverage of them. And it's all about the presidency. It's all about the not conspiracies. It's the controversies, the scandals. It's all about who did what, who said what, and what did they say, and where did they say it, and ooh, look, they're having a soda. And it's just, I hate it so much, because it's gossip. It's political gossip. And so, like, you go onto Yahoo, or you go onto the Huffington Post, or you go onto Facebook, or you go onto anywhere, You will see stuff about the election, and it's nothing. It is like some of it, like the debates are something, but the responses to the debates are ridiculous. It's like so and so won and so lost. Like, that's an opinion. You can say these are the points they made. These are why I believe they made a stronger argument than this person. That's not winning it. There is no winning a debate. There is being more informative or being more clear or concise or prepared. Preparation is one of the main things for debate. It doesn't matter if your side is more popular or not. If you're more prepared and you're more capable of presenting your ideas, then technically you won because you informed the people more about yourself and about what your platform or what you're speaking about is about. But when you say so-and-so won because I agree with what they said, that's really what you're doing. And every single one of those is a pot shot at something. And the more you do that, the less the stuff is actually being analyzed and discussed. So I think that is a major, major problem. It's something that it dilutes the issues. It dilutes the solutions even more. And the process is broken. So you perpetuate this broken process instead of the one that's actually working. Now, it takes more time, it takes more energy, and it takes more consideration. You have to want to do this for it to work. But that's not what the public wants. They want instant gratification. They want their side to be presented in their way. And they want the other side, whatever side they disagree with, to die or be destroyed or be stopped or be hurt in some fashion. And it's not everybody. It's just enough people that it breaks the system, because the media and the people in charge see the loudest people. So it becomes the norm to respond to that because they don't know what the other stuff is. It takes too much time and effort to look into the moderate sides. And I'm not talking about, Republican or Democratic moderates. I'm talking about analytical moderation. We're not listening to the quiet people. We're listening to the loud people. The loud people are the ones that are going to get us the most views because it's reactionary, inflammatory, and it gets your ratings, it gets you money. And when the media is pushing that agenda of we want to make money and we want to be popular because that's what a news organization really, really wants, it is a business, and it's there to inform the public, but it's also there to make money, and it's a conflict of interest in some fashions because it means they're going to go after the bigger demographics, and right now that's controversy and inflammation because it gets the most views. Hey, we caught so-and-so doing this scandal or breaking news or this and this, and it's like, oh, all these people are going to clickbait onto it, and that's not the way the media is supposed to work. That's another major issue. So going all the way back to the idea of this video was about philosophy and just our culture stuff, is we're broken as a culture. We're not out of it yet. We're not completely gone, but we've been getting there for a really long time. And it's been getting worse because it's compounding, it's compacting onto itself, because a long time ago there's always been major problems. There's always, and people just didn't know because we didn't have the information at our fingertips like we do now. But you ask anybody over 50 and then I did the stupidest stuff, I'm just glad there's no internet to record it. But when you look back at the idea of chivalry, the idea of gentlemen, it was a man's honor and his word meant something to a lot of people. Not everybody, because there's always going to be liars, but and there's always going to be ruthless businessmen. Just look at what happened to Tesla. Not that he was a ruthless businessman, but just look at what happened to him. There's always going to be somebody taking advantage of somebody else. It's always been there. But when we had that, and I'm not idealizing the past, but there were good factors from it that should be incorporated more heavily now, or that have been washed out over time, is our word means almost nothing anymore. That you can't say my word is a gentleman because it doesn't mean anything to our culture. It doesn't mean anything to, like, Gang members might say that, it's like, hey, are you calling me a liar? Who are you to call me a liar? But, that incites violence and stuff like that. I heard that a lot when I was in a really bad neighborhood, and I don't think that's a good thing. But when you turn that to the positive of, if I can trust you because I believe as a culture we have inherently promoted that as a value, then I think that would come back. But we don't promote it as a value. We promote it as a weakness. We show it as, just look out for yourself. Don't let anybody else know what you're up to. Don't let anyone else know what you have. Just keep it tight to, close to your vest, pretty much, because other people are out to get you. And when you have that mentality, other people become those kind of people, to be out to get others so that they can still get theirs. And so it's a negative snowball effect. And to change the culture is nearly impossible, but it is possible. And I believe it is also worth it in the end, because you look at all of the crime and all of the corruption and the people in charge being idiots sometimes, and the people that are just following like sheep. You hear, if you have a survey and you say the opposite party presented an idea, the people of that party are much more likely to agree with it than if you said, the actual party that presented it said it. Because people want to follow their own ideas. It doesn't matter, like, their idea of who is right already. So it's like, oh, so-and-so said it? I agree with that person, therefore I'm going to agree with what they say, which is ridiculous. You shouldn't do that. But people, they do that in their head. They follow. They follow what they've already been taught to follow, or what they think is the right thing, and then they just push everything else out of the way. They don't want to analyze. They don't want to think about it at all. And it's apathy. It's always come back to apathy and not caring, and to ignorance, and to lack of critical thinking, and to just, I say it's being stupid, which a lot of people take as an intellectual thing, but it's not. It's not about how smart you are. It's about how you look at the world. It's about how you consider and contemplate and analyze and just talk and discuss and be able to have that. If you can't, you can be a considerate person. You can be a very logical and analytical person. But if you don't give the other side a chance to speak, and you only look at your own stuff, you're not going to expand at all. You're just still going to sit there in your own little I am right world, and that's not good. So here's the last point, and I wanted to bring this up from the beginning, and I completely forgot it. When you have two sides or three sides or however many sides you have, the world has infinite number. Everyone's against everybody pretty much, but let's just say you have two sides. You have A and B. People that identify with A say the A is the best, A is the way to go. Well, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a political stance. It could just be, we should recycle, or we should, get electric cars, or we should all cut our hair a certain way. It doesn't matter. They believe that their side is right. B thinks something else. Doesn't even matter if it's contradictory or not. It's just they believe something else is the answer. Like, we should have, octagons instead of circles, or we should have, plastics instead of paper. Just anything. It doesn't matter what they're arguing about. So they're going to argue. If you have a problem that has multiple solutions, it doesn't matter if those multiple solutions are right or wrong, because they can both be right. There are multiple solutions to different problems. The example I was looking up a long time ago was how do you get rid of traffic? How do you automate traffic? Instead of having cars, you have trains, or you have a railway of some kind that's just all electric all the time. How do you build it? How do you supply it with different things? It's like, how fast should it be going? Should you have a car that's always driving in a circle, and then you have littler cars that you get into and then they speed up and connect to it? Or do you have like a cab system it's automated that you just tell it where you want to go and it takes you directly there? There's a million different ways of solving any single problem. But then you have people arguing about it, and then no solutions get done because everyone wants their own little piece of their own pie, and you have a million different ingredients in this pie, and it doesn't work because it's so muddled with junk. And that's the way our system currently works. It is a Republican democracy, pretty much. It's a democratic republic, is what I meant to say. But it's not working anymore. It's too muddled. It's too fat, and it's gotten corrupted. It's gotten to the point where, as technology has improved, and I'm doing hand gestures you can't see, as our technology has improved and communication has improved massively, we have things in place that don't need to be anymore. Like daylight savings time doesn't have to exist necessarily. We have the electoral college that doesn't have to exist anymore. We just have a lot of things in place that are only there because we did it for a long time, and there's arguments for the idea that they should be changed, and I don't see those. And I know there's war looming on the horizon with a lot of different things, especially with Russia, but we're not talking about that very much either. We're talking about our own election, and when the election's over, it doesn't matter who wins. If we're not going to fix anything. Like we looked at Obama, and he says we were going to change everything. That's why he won, because we wanted to change everything. Some things changed. A lot of people were screaming the entire time that it wasn't changing fast enough, but some things changed. I mean, we have Obamacare now. We have our gas prices went down again because I don't think that's related to the president very much. Because it's internal. The gas companies determine the prices, but. We have gay marriage. We have the Pope is doing a whole bunch of different things. The last 8 years pretty much have been, there's a lot of things happening, and the stuff with Russia and the Olympics, and then Crimea, and just scary stuff is happening. But we're acting like it's just always the new thing, and then it's the Kardashians, and then it's Donald Trump, and then it's, there's the Hillary scandal, and then Bernie Sanders showed up, and it's just, I want discussion. I want people to just, it's like, what's going on? Like, I know people are like, no, we need action. Well, yeah, we do, but we also need contemplation. Action without thought it's irrational and reckless. But there's a balance you have to find, and my philosophies, my life views are not necessarily right, but they're the way I see it, and I don't see the other things that are happening to be good. They're very damaging. So I want people to understand that if you just sit back and you think, like not to the point of atrophy, not to the point of that, but just 5 minutes before you respond to something, 5 minutes to before you yell at somebody, or while you're speaking, you say, hold on, let me think about that for a second. Because you say something that maybe enrages you or makes you uncomfortable. It's like, wait, I need time to process that and think about it, because I don't understand it fully. Maybe you can re-articulate it. Maybe you can say it in a different way so that I can maybe wrap my head around it. That's happened to me many times. I have a friend, English isn't their first language. They say something, I was like, wait, is that what you mean? And they have to say it another way, and it's like, okay, I kind of understand it. Can you say it again? And it is annoying sometimes. It for them, I'm sure. And for me, I want to understand very quickly, and that can be frustrating. It's like, can you please reiterate? Can you please say it again? And sometimes they don't want to, or sometimes they just think, well, why don't you understand? And I'm like, it's my fault, but I'm asking you to help clarify. And people don't do that. People just... They yell and scream, and it's like, oh, this is the way it's got to have been meant. And back to the Kim Davis meeting the Pope thing. Oh, that happened? It must have been this way. It's like, no. You're putting things in there. You're making stuff up. And you're doing it specifically to enrage yourself and others. Don't do that. Think about it. Took 5 minutes. 5 minutes of just sitting there thinking about it. Maybe a little bit longer, because, that was a pretty big one. But I was like, why did it happen? And it's a positive snowball effect, because you ask one question, and then while you're trying to answer it, another question will pop up. It's like, interesting. And then another question will pop up. And you can be annoyed most of the time, but you'll start to piece things together better. And the unanswered questions, instead of there being an answer in your head that is just made up, you'll have questions that you can ask and get answered over time. And if it never gets answered, then you can start contemplating, well, if this is the way this happened, and then that's the way that happened, maybe this is, and then you have maybes and probablys, and there's a statistical high chance of this being the thing that happened. Like, oh, okay, so and so had a gun, and this person was over here running in that direction. You know, that's analysis. That's, you're figuring stuff out. But a lot of the times you don't have that kind of data, so you have this big hole, and you instead of filling it all up with junk, you can start working on the edges and saying, if this is this and that's that, and this person has this belief system and that person believes this, and they had this and this happened in their past, you can start building things around instead of just saying, oh yeah, they're all bigots, or oh yeah, they're only doing it for their own greed, which is like 90% of all people responding to political comments. All politicians are corrupt. All politicians want your money. All politicians want this, this, and this. It's like, those are so wrong. You can say that politicians have the system in place is easily corruptible. It gives you power, it gives you a lot of money, and it doesn't have much oversight. Yes, you can say that. There's a lot of things like that. But to say every single one is corrupt is just, it's a generalization, and it's like, it's bigotry. I was going to say it's not like racism. It's bigotry. It's saying all of something is something, and that's wrong. You can say all ice cubes are cold, but even then, that's not true. All ice cubes made of water, I guess, but under certain conditions, I guess you can pressurize water to the point where ice is hot. But it's just, you have to consider things before you vomit onto everything. And I keep saying that, is you can't do that and still be considered even remotely credible, or, I will laugh at you, but I'll also feel sick because you believe what you believe. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to laugh at people. I want to say, okay, let's have an intelligent discussion, and then you just vomit over everything. It's like, oh, well, that's not fair. And then they yell at me, and then I'm like, well, that's not fair. And then they start yelling at me, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I give people chances, but it's really not easy to do sometimes, and some people just don't care enough. Their chances are just taken and thrown away. So it's just think. It's not that hard. So that's it. That's my video. Is all of this stuff building up is just, it's getting ridiculous, and I really, really worry about the future, because if it keeps compounding like this, it will destroy humanity. There will be more wars if this keeps going up. And I'm not saying that as a conspiracy thing, is like, oh no, the world's going to end because there is evil. It's because people are going to make stupid choices, and they're going to respond in stupid ways. You get one racist guy in charge, or one, person that wants to blow up this other country. There are people that just want the Middle East to be glassed with nukes, or North Korea glassed with nukes, or China glassed with nukes. No, we can't do that. First of all, you're murdering millions of innocent people. Genocidal, destroy the Chinese, or destroy the people in whatever country you want to bomb. Like, that's genocide, pretty much. You're just doing it with a bomb instead of systematically. That's not cool. That's like the opposite of cool. It's bad. And it's just, one person in charge can push us towards that. We're already so corrupt that we can go to war for almost no reason. We just have to convince, whoever's in charge of the bombs to do it. And it's getting more and more chaotic so that it can happen easier. It shouldn't be easy to do that. We went to war several times under false pretense, or under pretenses that we thought were true that turned out to not be true. So it was a mistake. Oops. But that's a whole other thing. But it's just, I disagree with a lot of the things that are happening. I think that they should be changed, and I think that they need to be changed in a drastic way. And by drastic, I mean extreme, and by extreme, I mean, big. It's just, it's so hard to word properly, especially when I'm not sure which direction I'm going with these when I start. So that's it. I hope you have a nice day. I hope this was informative, or that you enjoyed it, and peace.